In today's journey, we answered the age-old question, do we need to boil the sugar? It was an extremely common question from customers, and for some reason, it was extremely hard for them to just trust us. But that's all in the past now, because by the power of too much free time on Phil's hands, he's taken a pound of sugar and boiled it. Riveting, I know, but only half as much when he follows it up by adding just a gallon of water to a pound of sugar, right before your eyes. And all free of charge. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out those affiliate links in the description, along with the link to the full-length fermentation video, as this one will be abridged. But let's get back before we miss anything. Phil is currently adding 1 gram of EC 1118 and 0.2 ounces of Omega's proper seltzer yeast nutrient. This is our standard go-to recipe for making a 6% hard seltzer. 10 out of 10 would recommend this recipe. But now that we've made 2 seltzers in 1 minute, let's move on to the science. As we can clearly see that there is a color difference between the two. The one that's been boiled on the left is clearly a more goldenrod, whereas the non-boiled is clearly more of just a cloudy white-gray. Classically trained artist right here. But it does seem a bit unfair to not thoroughly mix both of these up before moving forward. However, we will be sure to clean the immersion stick blender in between so that we don't cross-contaminate, science and all. Another science thing we're doing right now is making sure that these are properly oxygenated without getting out the oxygen stone. We can also see that the not boiled is not cloudy because we've stirred up the sugar, but because of how much oxygen has been incorporated at this point. But regardless, we can still see the caramelized color of the boiled. I mean, not that surprising at this point, but it is nice to see them compared to each other rather than just referenced. And just as a note for those who have been paying attention to the numbers on the side panels, those have been meaningless numbers until now. Well, not yet. We haven't restarted yet, but for some reason Phil hard-coded them in early. For some reason. We'll ask him later, because right now we should take note of those specific gravities. Those are read properly, and are over 10 points away from each other, even though both of these are exactly 1 gallon of water and 1 pound of sugar. It's just that one absorbed a lot more sugar than the other. This is no surprise, as this is how you would make a simple syrup, by supersaturating the sugar solution. This happens for 2 reasons. First, the water molecules are larger when warmer, therefore able to hold more sugar. This is compounded by the fact that adding energy during the boiling process, because remember, heat is energy, E equals mc squared. So by applying energy to water molecules, they are thereby dissolving sugar crystals more efficiently and spreading them more thoroughly, which means when the liquid cools, the sugar will not fall out of solution as easily. This is why caramels and other hard candies exist. And for those of you ready to blame Phil for not mixing it properly, and that's why it's only at 10:30, well, we thought of that, and that's why he went back in and stirred it before restarting everything. And as you'll see, even hours later, it still just settles back to 10:30. But because E does equal mc squared, we do have to reckon that that sugar is still somewhere, and that somewhere is on the bottom of the fermenter, where it will remain undissolved. Now, to the person writing a comment about how, hey, it could be dissolving slowly over time and the tilt hydrometer just isn't reporting it. Well, we'll get to that over time. First, our camera's going to go blank for a second. It's fine. We're still collecting data. We're still working out the bugs of our network. That's why we don't get paid for this yet. And I did slightly notice this before the blackout, but, is boiled turning green? I mean, like, it's probably fine. Right? If someone smarter than me could be so kind as to explain in the comment section what's going on. I'm going to be distracted right now by the fact that not boiled's turning pink-ish. We'll have to read your input later, as right now we've moved on to the fact that one of the tilts decided to stop working. Great. Maybe if we contact them, they'll send us some free ones, because we're getting sick of paying for these. Especially since it originally was thought that the battery just died and we just need to change it and it'll be fine. We changed the battery and it's not fine. So luckily, we found an extra one hanging around. So we threw it in, but we're going to have to do some data entry points to make the math work properly, though the graph will look a little funky for the rest of this fermentation. We did off-camera verify the start and final gravities as being accurate within 1 point. And with the tradition of brewing, of things always going wrong, things go wrong. As this time, both tilts decide to stop responding, though this time it's because of the Raspberry Pi crashing. This was due to an automatic update. Thanks. Although technically it's Linux, so it is my fault. We do notice, however, that we're kind of taxing our Raspberry Pi 3 as one Pi is doing both tilts. And for a normal person, that's probably fine, but for what we're doing, in the future we have split this into multiple Pis. So for good measure, Phil decides to go into the server room and give everything a good whack and restart. Because at this point, we've even had to replace a power supply in the main recording computer. I told you this stuff's kinda complicated to run. But with a swift boot to the head, we got this whole thing up and running again, and we've only missed a day. And an observation is it's been fun to see the current alcohol ABV rise faster on the boiled, and yet still remain at least 7 points behind on fermentation according to the specific gravity. So what I've learned so far is that from a production standpoint, we would definitely want to boil so that we could ferment more in less space. Also, boiled seems more visually appealing, if you know what I mean. Although it's at this point we really wish we had used one of those fancy yeasts that should have fermented this in 4 days, as we're not completely there yet. So let's hit fast forward real quick. And just as a reminder, if you wanted a more complete watch of the fermentation, check the link in the description for our alternative channel where we upload extremely long videos. In fact, we recommend downloading them so that you can scrub through all of our failures and enjoy them properly. And although we probably could have sped up this last bit by doing a transfer to get these last couple of points fermented out quicker, but we're doing the lazy method. Sorry, Angie. As the question we're answering today is, how lazy can a customer be while making homebrew? Not how to make proper hard seltzer in a professional environment, as normally we would want to get off of this dead yeast cells to avoid off flavors. We bring this up because as there's not a lot of flavor else going on unless you add fruit flavor later, any defect will show greatly. Any hops or malt or any other additional flavors aren't there to hide behind. So maybe just do it right the first time and be lazy the proper way. Things we should have done. Use the yeast that Omega recommends. They are the ones who make the yeast nutrient after all. They claim this could have been fermented in 4 days. It is going to be 30. Also, we should have rehydrated the yeast. We would have seen a more vigorous fermentation from the get-go. However, I feel that would have violated the spirit of this being as lazy as possible. Also, that gives us something to test in the future. Does rehydrating your yeast help? I mean, I know the answer, but it'd be fun to test it, scientifically. Another thing I'd like to test is, was it enough just to get the water hot and add the sugar, or did I have to actually boil it for 15 minutes? As I suspect that we could find a happy medium where we don't get as much color from boiling the sugar, but still get good saturation. How about you? What are some things you would like us to test? Let us know in the comments section. But alright, I think I've killed enough time. Let's talk about how these ended up. And using my sense of prediction, I'm able to know that these both end up at about 0.994. Meaning that the boiled ends up exactly where we thought it would. 6% alcohol. And we did verify this off camera. And if I did better at my math class in brew school, I would actually be able to tell you how much sugar is sitting on the bottom of that fermenter. But it is interesting to see that in the boiled, it's got a nice layer of yeast on the bottom. Whereas the not boiled, you can see that an avalanche of sugar fell, given that so much yeast fell on top of it. But here is a math trick I do know, that if you are unable to actually heat, like boiling is an improbability for you to do to make hard seltzer, then a non-boil will work. What you will want to do though is set your expectations lower on your alcohol content. You will be able to make more seltzer just at a lower concentration, which is fine as long as you know what you're going for. Because of course, E equals MC squared. Therefore, you can count on the fact that sugar will convert to weight alcohol at about 0.47 pounds of alcohol per pound of sugar. This goes even further actually in that 0.49 pounds will end up being CO2 by weight, with the rest being consumed by the yeast to facilitate the transformation. And if you did enjoy this content, please do subscribe. It does help out a lot, as would watching some of these other videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our other channel where we will be uploading the full fermentation videos. And until next time, happy brewing.